It's the end of an era in Japan. Emperor Akihito will step down at the end of this month, and the country will begin the era of Reiwa.
Welcome to Plain English, the podcast that goes at the right speed for English language learners. Listen now and read the transcript online at plainenglish.com. Now, here's Jeff, your host for today's episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Plain English for Monday, April 15th, 2019. We're off to a great start this week because we have a fun topic, something I knew nothing about before a listener, Kuni from Tokyo, suggested it. So stay tuned and we will learn a little something about Japanese culture together today. Today is episode number 146. And as you know, Plain English is the best podcast for learning and practicing English through current events. I'm Jeff, and if I sound a little different today, it's because I'm not at my home recording studio. I'm actually at the Plain English regional headquarters in Dallas, Texas. You know, we have our global headquarters in Chicago, but we also have smaller regional offices in other locations. So today I paid a visit to the regional office in Dallas, and we have a special guest who wants to say hi and make an announcement. Come on over here, special guest.
Hi everyone, this is JR, the producer. I have some great news to share with you. Starting next week, we're going to have a new feature on Plain English, the Song of the Week. Every week, we're going to pick one song to talk about at the end of the episode. And the best part is you're going to nominate the song that we talk about. Here are the rules. First of all, the song has to be in English. And the second rule is it has to be appropriate, not bad language. Those are the only two rules. So, if you want to nominate a song to be included in the show, you have to email me at jr@plainenglish.com. Send me your favorite song in English, and we might include it on a future episode.
All right, thanks, JR. That's exciting. So, all of you out there, think about your favorite songs in English and send your suggestions to jr@plainenglish.com, and we will kick off that new feature next week. Other ways to get in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at Plain English Pod, and you can also send me a WhatsApp to +1 312 967 8757. We have a number of things available to you in addition to the audio program you're listening to right now. We have the transcripts, which are always free and available online. Today's is at plainenglish.com/146. The transcripts also have instant translations of about 100 words and phrases into French, Japanese, Portuguese, Chinese, Spanish, and Italian. And we also have Russian, brand new this week, Russian translations on there as well. So you can learn vocabulary with the instant translations and follow along without having to press pause. So when I say instant, I mean you can listen to the show, and when you find a highlighted word on the website, just hover your mouse over the word or tap on it if you're on your phone, and you'll see the translation into your language, all without having to switch pages, look something up, or pause the audio. It's pretty cool. And it's not just Google Translate either. These are real translations by real professional translators. We have a whole team of them around the world. What else? The emails. I send out emails for each show, and the emails contain links to English articles about the main topic and a description of one additional word or phrase that I used in the episode. So you can get all those emails by going to plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L. One thing that amazes me about Eastern culture is how far back these cultures go. So as you listen to the episode, pay attention to the dates and how far back some of these traditions go. The end of an era is coming in Japan when the 86-year-old Emperor Akihito abdicates at the end of this month. His son, Crown Prince Naruhito, will accede to the chrysanthemum throne, the imperial seat of the Emperor of Japan. When he does so, official Japan will transition from the Heisei era to the Reiwa era. Much like the Queen of England, the Emperor of Japan is a symbol of Japanese culture and tradition. It's uncommon for emperors to abdicate or resign. Most die while they hold the title of emperor. But in 2017, Emperor Akihito announced that he was getting too old to carry out his duties and that he planned to abdicate at the end of April 2019. It will be the first time in more than 200 years that a Japanese emperor abdicates. His son, Crown Prince Naruhito, will become the next emperor on May 1st. Japan is the oldest hereditary monarchy in the world, but the emperor has no political role or political duties according to Japan's constitution. Even so, the emperor is a symbol of Japan and offers emotional support. He stays close to the people and offers just one way for the Japanese people to have pride in their country and their culture. Part of the symbolism of the emperor is naming an era after him. They assign an official name to the period in which an emperor rules. The time period corresponding to the current emperor Akihito is the Heisei era. That's the one we're in right now. Prior to this era, it was the Showa era. There have been 248 eras since the system began in the year 645 AD. Naming an era, or a long period of time, is an ancient tradition with its roots in China. Today, though, Japan is the only country that still practices this tradition. On the 1st of this month, the Japanese government announced the name of the next era, which will begin on May 1st. The name is Reiwa, a combination of two Japanese characters. Reiwa was chosen from a series of poems called Manyoshu, the oldest collection of Japanese poetry, which dates back to the 8th century. The preamble to the poems states, "Being an auspicious month in early spring, the weather was pleasant and the wind was peaceful. The Rei corresponds with auspicious, and the wa corresponds with peaceful. Auspicious implies good fortune or future success. So when you put Reiwa together, it means fortunate, auspicious, and put together with peace and harmony. The Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said that the name hints at spring and renewal and contains a wish that everyone's hopes can blossom in this new era. He noted that the Manyoshu Anthology is a national book symbolizing Japan's rich national culture and long traditions. Though the government announced the new name, the decision was in the hands of a special council of academics and other Japanese experts. Their names won't be revealed, and neither will anything about their deliberations. We'll never know what other names were considered or whose idea Reiwa was. They are all being quite tight-lipped about it. The name of the era is more than just symbolic. Japan has a parallel calendar in which the years are named after the era. When you have business with the government and you need to state the year you were born or the year you got married, you have to use the era system to state that year. Here's how it works. In the Japanese calendar, the year is named as the number of years after the current era started. So this year is Heisei 31 because the Heisei era started 31 years ago. My birthday would have been in Showa 56. Because the era is changing, this year will also be known as Reiwa 1, starting in May. More informally, the era names are about how people think about the passage of time. One of our listeners in Japan, Taku, says that people think of the Showa era as the good old days, the past, whereas Heisei is more modern, the present. But soon, Heisei will be the past and Reiwa will be the present. Taku says it helps to organize your memories, and each era has its own set of feelings for each person. I want to say thank you to a few listeners. First to Kuni from Tokyo, who suggested this topic to me, and also Taku and Yumiko, who both helped out. Thank you so much for offering some great information and for offering your opinions. Your fellow listeners around the world, thank you for sharing some more about your country and your culture. That's one of the great reasons I love using WhatsApp. I was able to reach out to some listeners from Japan and get their opinions. But now I have a request. I know we have a lot of listeners in Japan. I can tell from my media host where people listen to the program. But I think you guys in Japan are pretty shy. I look at my email and my WhatsApp, and I get messages all the time from new friends in Latin America and Europe, but very rarely do I get messages from Japan, and I have never gotten a voice message on WhatsApp from anyone in Japan. So this episode comes out at about 8 o'clock in the evening in Japan. So I'm going to ask you guys, I want to hear from you about this episode. What do you think about the new era name? Is the era calendar outdated? What about the new emperor? Let me know, and I'll share some thoughts on a future episode. but I really want to hear from you guys in Japan because I know you're out there. All right, I thought I had a great phrasal verb to review today, carry out. But it turns out that I actually did that one already way back in episode 25. So if you want to learn carry out, just go to plainenglish.com/25. But then I looked harder and I actually found an even better one. To date back to is the expression we are going to review today. An anthology of poems provided the inspiration for Reiwa, the new era name in Japan, and those poems date back to the 8th century, or the 700s AD. They date back to the 700s. That means they had their origin in those years. When you say something dates back to a particular time, you mean that thing started or was created in that time. When you say something dates back for a particular length of time, then you mean it has existed for that amount of time. I'll give you some examples using it both ways. If you think those poems from Japan are old, the Imperial House of Japan, the tradition of having an emperor, dates back even farther. The very first emperor of Japan reigned from the year 660 BC to the year 585 BC. That means the Japanese emperor system dates back over 2,600 years. It started over 2,600 years ago. That is a long time. My country, by contrast, dates back to 1776, when the 13 British colonies in the Americas collectively declared independence from Great Britain. The U.S., then, dates back just 243 years, or less than a tenth as far back as Japan. We're the newcomers on the scene. I was curious about what is the world's newest country, and I found out the newest country in the world is South Sudan, which dates back only to 2011, when it declared independence from Sudan. South Sudan, the newest country in the world, dates back only about 8 years. Remember we did an episode about the Simpsons, or at least about the Simpsons murals in Mexico City? That was episode 52. The Simpsons dates back to 1989. They've been making those for almost 30 years. It's the longest running American sitcom. By now, you can probably tell that when we use dates back to, we're talking about something that continues to this day. We don't use it to describe something that just happened once, and we don't use it to describe something that's over. We use it when we're talking about the beginning of something that happens continuously and still exists today. Believe it or not, they're still making Simpsons episodes, so we can say that show dates back to 1989. This program dates back to about December 2017, and in that time, I have gotten to know so many of you, and I really, truly value the connection that we have, JR and I, to all of you. We have built quite the community in just about a year and a half. And as always, I want to thank you for making plain English a part of your lives and a part of your routines. Before we go, I want to say hi to a few listeners. Vinicius from Brazil sent me a nice voice message saying thank you for helping millions of people improve their English. I'll take the compliment, but we're not quite reaching millions of people just yet. But with your help spreading the word, we will. And second, Lucas, also from Brazil, sent me an amazing message. He said he listens to old episodes of the program as he works and had to explain to his dad, who is his boss, that he's not listening to music or anything, but to English lessons. I love hearing that, and I reminded Lucas that studies have shown that listening to plain English actually improves your productivity at work. It makes you a better worker because it activates your brain. So thank you, Lucas, for that great message, and thank you, Lucas's dad, for letting him listen at work. That brings us to the end of today's program. Don't forget Audible at plainenglish.com/book, and JR and I will be back on Thursday for even more plain English. See you then.